Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode review. This time we will be reviewing episode 85 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush, the duel between Kuaidul and Yudias. And what are my general thoughts on this episode? Well, it was a doozy, and I actually thought it was a very good episode. Certainly the strongest of this arc so far. This arc has been a little bit of a downtrodden, in my opinion. I haven't really loved how long we have spent in the Kuaidul space-time, and some of the episodes have felt a little bit fillery and haven't really done too much to kind of move the plot forward. And while there were bright spots like Go Hyuna and Zion, there was a lot of episodes that just weren't really reeling me in like I know the show can do and like the show has done. And so I felt like this episode was really a massive episode for the series. You figure this show is coming to an end probably in March, so we have like less than 20 episodes to go. And so for that reason, you're billing us a duel between Yudias and Kuaidul randomly in the middle of an arc that we have not, that I personally have not really been too invested in. Like, this duel needed to hit. This episode needed to fire on all cylinders, and my God, it did. It was a very good episode. From the shock result of Yudias actually taking another loss and losing to Kuaidul, to Kuaidul's plans being revealed and what that entails, and to the hopelessness that we as the viewer feel leaving this episode. I mean, it almost feels like Kuaidul has actually won and is succeeding, and I've got no idea how on earth we are going to stop him. The tone was set right away. You've got all the characters trapped in this classroom, the 40 characters that have realized it is a Kuaidul space-time, but by realizing that it's a space-time, you're rewarded by being soldiers essentially in his deck. He wanted 40 people to establish his deck, and so I love the irony there, right? If you're smart enough and you're able to actually escape the space-time, or if he allows you really to escape the space-time and the illusion that we're in, what's your reward? Well, you are captured and now you have to fight Yudias as pawns in his deck. So I really like that. We see all the characters wearing shirts of their ace monsters, and the characters are even like, you know, able to kind of see the duel if they are utilized. We see at one point Kuaidul summons a fusion monster using Yuga's Darkness card that, of course, he put into that deck in the previous arc, Yugioh's ace and Phaser's ace, and we see the three of them like kind of assembling like they're a machine, being the fusion monster, which I thought was pretty funny. These are also the three characters that defeated Kuaidul Yudias at the end of the last arc, so I love the callback there as well, and the symbolism in that final duel of arc number 6. The tone was not only set with the helplessness of these characters that we all know and love, but it was also set with the visuals. I mean, Yudias is selected to duel Kuaidul, and Kuaidul is imposing his will on Yudias by being a 50 to 100 foot kaiju giant character. I also like that the first monster Yudias is using is Cosmo Titan, which that I feel like can perfectly describe how Kuaidul looked, literally like a Titan. So the intimidation factor is there right off the bat. Kuaidul just basically showing all of these characters how strong he is and how this is basically a tabletop game. Like, from Kuaidul's perspective, it would feel like one of us actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With how small Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are in real life. You know, in the anime, it's always the monsters are, you know, shown to be pretty big. If you set a card, the hologram of the card is shown to be pretty big. But Kuaidul, to scale, is like an actual human being playing this card game, and that's all it is to him. It's just a game. All of these characters are just pawns in his game. So the visual of him being this giant character, standing over Yudias, standing over Matsuba Town, is incredible. And as the duel progresses, Yudias makes some good moves, but is unable to actually defeat Kuaidul. And Kuaidul bricks with his first 4 cards. He's got 4 high-level monsters. And of course, he draws a spell that allows him to just discard his whole hand and get out of that tough situation. I was so annoyed when that happened because I was like, oh, Yudias is going to have an easy win here. Let's go. And then, of course, Kuaidul draws a spell that lets him just get rid of his entire hand. So, you know, that was typical villain annoyingness in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they just get the exact card that they need, and what are you going to do? I mean, Kuaidul literally feels like a god. It wouldn't even surprise me if he's able to somehow manipulate the cards that he is getting. Like, the power scaling that we are seeing in this show just leaves you with a feeling of, like, really hopelessness. Like, I've got no idea how and who is going to be able to take down this guy. So, anyway, Kuaidul takes his turn, Yudias takes his second turn, and then we get to Kuaidul's next turn. One thing that I wish we got a little bit more of, I wish we got a little bit more of conversation between Yudias and Kuaidul, maybe in the beginning of the duel and throughout the middle. I know towards the end, I rewatched the episode already, so I've watched it 2 times. I know towards the end, we got a little bit of that where Kuaidul said to Yudias, oh, you're fighting till the very end. That's so like you, which of course Kuaidul knows a lot about Yudias and his tendencies because Kuaidul has been monitoring Yudias. He was the narrator since the very beginning of the show, which that in of itself is still mind-blowing. And it's just crazy how the quality of the show when Kuaidul is involved, right? 75, 76, 77 was crazy good at the last arc, and now Kuaidul finally shows up here, and I just feel like we are reminded how threatening of a character he is and how he's manipulated every single event pretty much up until this point, and he's guided our characters on this like purposeful path to align with everything that he's wanted to accomplish. And it's working, and that's the scary thing. It's working super, super well. Even him losing kind of at the end of last arc was all part of his plan to get the Darkness card, the Darkness Joint Tech card with Yuhi. So, everything he's done is part of his plan. We see him use a new Transamu monster that looks like a lightened version of Yudias, which at the very end of this episode, Yudias acts like he knows something about this monster or learns something about this monster. Don't have too many theories on that. It would not surprise me if this monster is somehow the key to defeating Kuaidul, and there's going to be some usage that Yudias is going to get out of this monster in a final duel against Kuaidul. Maybe this monster is like based off of Yudias or something. Like, I could see some deep connection with Yudias and this monster, and I always felt like Transamu Reinek, Yudias' first ace, had Yudias-like vibes to it, so it would not shock me if the Transamu monsters are maybe even more personally, deeply tied to Yudias. But we get a new one here that, of course, is used by Kuaidul, and Kuaidul uses to actually defeat Yudias. And right as Yudias is being shockingly defeated, we get a peek into Kuaidul's plans through Yuhi. Yuhi starts to kind of figure out what's going on, and Kuaidul shows him exactly what he is trying to accomplish. And Yuhi conducts that Kuaidul has frozen everything that's actually happened on Earth, or at least in Matsuba Town, and has teleported their minds into this space-time. So right now you have Earth, or again, at least Matsuba Town, that is completely frozen. The bodies are still there of all these characters, and their minds are right now in this fictional space-time that Kuaidul is able to completely manipulate. And Yuhi realizes that Kuaidul is not just doing this to Matsuba Town. Kuaidul is planning to do this to not just everyone on Earth, but the entire bleepin' universe, which would essentially destroy the universe. I mean, it would. Everyone would then be fake. You'd be living in this fake world controlled by Kuaidul, and the universe itself would be frozen. I mean, it would be. So Kuaidul defeats Yudias. Yudias goes back to the characters. He's all happy. Our characters are not, because they kind of just realize, like, we're screwed here. No matter how much we plead, cry, complain, Kuaidul's not letting us out of this. And I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, how our heroes are going to get out of this. There's one character that obviously has to be talked about really briefly here, and that is Yuga, our main protagonist from Sevens, who we know is definitely in this world. Now, I believe the last time we saw Yuga was near the end of the previous arc. Yuga is not part of this 40-card deck. That leads me to believe that Yuga is going to have a massive role in potentially stopping Kuaidul, or at least being involved in stopping Kuaidul. I'd be very surprised if Yuga does not get involved here. Obviously, the entire Earth is in trouble right now, and Yuga, as far as we know, has not been captured into the space-time. Now, maybe he has been and he just hasn't realized it. Like, who's to say he was safe from Kuaidul freezing everybody in Matsuba Town? He very well could have been a part of that, and we just haven't seen him yet. But I have a feeling he's such an important character that he would have been featured in Kuaidul's 40-card deck if he was captured. Maybe because he's not from this time period, he's somehow immune to the space-time. I could see them going down a route like that. But to think that Yuga is not going to have a big role when he is purposefully shown to be left out of the space-time for now, I think is a little silly. Yuga is, I don't want to call him our last hope, because I still think characters like Yudias, Yugioh, maybe Yuumu, I hesitate saying her because she's just not on the same level, unfortunately, as Yudias and Yugioh right now, but she's still one of our 3 main characters, so I'd love to see her get involved in a dueling sense here. Again, I don't know how believable that is right now, but hopefully they do something with her character. I think those characters can still definitely be a part of it. I don't think it's all up to Yuga at this point, but man, oh man, it's starting to feel like he's our last hope, and it's seldom when you leave a Yu-Gi-Oh episode and you just feel hopeless and helpless and you feel like our characters have lost. I mean, really, I don't know how we are going to escape the space-time. Yudias, arguably the best duelist in the show. I've got no issues saying that. I've got no issues calling him the best duelist in the show. It's not by as wide of a margin as like Luke and Sevens, but Yudias just lost to Kuaidul, got smacked by Kuaidul. Another thing I loved about the episode, Yudias had an opportunity to destroy one of Kuaidul's monsters, and instead he used an effect where he could attack directly, saying that he did not want to deal any sort of damage to Yugioh, Yugioh, and Phaser. It was their fusion monster that he could have attacked. That was a cool callback to Yudias' ideologies from the beginning of the show, right? Where he said that he didn't want to even tribute his monsters because he feels like all of his monsters are living, breathing, like comrades, and he doesn't want to sacrifice any of them in order to win. And of course, those were his ideals when he was fighting the war in Velgear. So seeing Yudias still hold on to those ideologies, I think, was also really cool. But he takes a big fat L here, and I don't know what we can do to stop Kuaidul. We only got about 16, 17 episodes left, probably. So I think it's going to be very balls to the walls until we're out of this space-time, and that, to me, is super exciting. But guys, let me know your thoughts. I think this was a super needed in terms of quality and a super good Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush episode. We've had a bit of a lull since the last arc ended way back in episode 77, so really good to kind of see them get their footing under themselves once again. But let me know all your thoughts, any predictions you have down below in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.